Hey, what's up, everyone? We are here on the Retro Ranger wrap-up.
Yes. Woo! We are so glad to be here tonight.
Yes, we are almost finishing out Turbo. We have 2 weeks left this week and next week, and we are done with Turbo. I am super excited to be finishing this particular series. It has been awful.
Oh, gosh.
But I can't wait for Space, because Space is going to be phenomenal. So I'm super excited. Looking forward to that. But let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. You are...
Oh, of course. Hey, holla at your boy. It's me, the BSG. That's right. Purveyor of Petty, the controversial conversationalist, the intergalactic instigator, Mocha Mountain, and for everybody else watching and paying attention, a.k.a. Blackavelli. That's right. And to my left is the one, the only.
I'm Elle.
Illuminati.
It is. I am the Illuminati, part of the Illuminati.
Yes, that's right. And I love it.
Well, I will be keeping it PG for this. I don't know. Well, sometimes things just come out.
Yeah, we'll try to keep it, PG-14, whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
That's close
some
enough.
Parental guidance suggested, maybe some PG-13.
Yeah, right.
But if you want to tune in later and see something a little bit more, I guess, rated R. Yeah, because rated R is...
Right up the right alley.
Yeah, we'll be doing... the Goldman and I will be doing our Twitch streams at 9 o'clock, reviewing Rick and Morty, and that is definitely for an adult audience. But we are here for Power Rangers Turbo.
Yes.
We have 2 episodes today. They are the Rival Rangers and Parts and Parcel. Which were actually really good episodes in my opinion. I actually really enjoyed these. I don't know if I'm like hyping up because Turbo is almost finished.
It's almost there?
Or if it's because I legitimately like these episodes. It's kind of hard for me to be unbiased in this. But I did like them. I'm going to put my glasses back on. It's a little bit hard to read. But
hey, sorry guys.
Right here you get like the perfect glare right over my eyes. Get a little...
like you can't see my eyes.
But yeah, I guess let's just jump into it. So we have the Rival Rangers, which I thought was a really interesting and yet cringe-worthy episode.
Okay, all right.
It was extremely cringe-worthy, but it did develop our characters ever so slightly, but in the pettiest ways.
Oh, yes!
As the purveyor of Petty, I feel like you will have a lot of commentary on this particular episode.
I was so excited for this episode, only because of the level of Petty. It was on par with my life.
I
was
Petty
like, bravo.
Cassie on one corner.
Yes!
I don't have an alliterative adjective for our girl Ashley.
Well, I mean, a-hole Ashley.
I thought
it
really was. She did try to throw Cassie under the bus.
She did.
A few times.
She didn't try. She threw her under the bus.
Yeah, and then she was driving the bus and then ran the bus over her. It was pretty bad.
When you started off and you said cringy.
Yes.
What was the first cringy portion of the episode for you? Because I have one that people forgot, and it was right there in our faces.
Well, the whole thing about this particular episode is there's this new boy that comes to Angel Grove High, and both Ashley and Cassie quite fancy him. Yeah. He's a good-looking boy,
definitely.
But they go at it instead of having a conversation. I feel like this is what a lot of women, a lot of girls do. They like to tear each other down instead of just being communicative, opening up, and like having these conversations. I don't know why this is like a trope, and I guess it's good that we see it and see that like it does happen even to the best of us. Like, you could be a Power Ranger and be completely logical and empathetic and caring for another person and yet be still incredibly catty when it comes to your own personal life. I did not like seeing them fight, especially like, if this was in the beginning where... I think this episode would have been better suited really early when the Power Rangers switched over, when Cassie and Ashley maybe first got introduced, and if it was there, and then they learned how to become best friends despite that, I feel like this episode should have came way early on, because now, like, Cassie already comes and was like, Ashley, this is my best friend. This is my friend. He came over, and he's going to come to this high school, and they were acting incredibly immature. I know they're in high school, but they are here to set a good example, I feel like, for their peers around them.
I would definitely agree with you in saying that for the whole, they're there to point an example, or at least be an example, but competition breeds success. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. Okay. That's what happens when it comes to competition, and unfortunately, all's fair in love and D.
Yeah.
So that's what they're going for. She's trying to make sure that she can lock down a relationship and love and happiness, and hey, sometimes with that, You made Jennison a friend. That's, I think, how they were feeling about it.
I mean, but I feel like
did.
that would be a thing too, because obviously Ashley saw him and was like, oh, he's cute. I want him to ask me to the dance, and I kind of thought Ashley was going to be proactive and ask him to the dance, and I thought that would have been a super empowering episode where it is okay for a girl to go up to a man and be like, hey, I think you're attractive. I was wondering, there's this dance on Saturday, and I'd love to get to know you better. Would you come with me? And I felt that would have been a really interesting episode.
It would have. It would have. There's a lot of things that should have happened on this episode. For example, I feel if they're going to go for the whole thing of, hey, they're competing against each other, I felt that competition should pour over into their work, into them being Rangers. At the time when they're fighting, they're still competing even then, because it's like you're just tied up with all that competition. It's welling up inside.
That would have been an interesting thing too, to see them go at it and to see the rest of the group dynamic change because of these extremely petty, personal things about a boy that they know nothing about. He could have been a dickwad for all we know. He could have been a horrible person.
Right?
And honestly, in the very beginning, I almost had the sense when he was looking over at Ashley and there was a guy passing behind, I thought at the end of this episode that he was going to reveal that he was gay, and it was like, I actually wasn't checking out Ashley. He was going to ask out another guy.
That would have happened now in Rangers.
Yeah, it would happen. I know, but there was something in it because Lieutenant Stone, or Jerome at this point, is back there with Trey, and he gives these googly eyes at Ashley, and another guy passes behind, and I thought that would have been a perfect moment to talk about kind of LGBT kind of things, and you can't assume.
It would have been great. It would have been a really good episode if that's exactly what happened. And unfortunately, it's something that didn't,
and it felt a little lackluster to me at the ending, especially because I don't even remember the boy's name, and I don't even know Bobby. And Bobby chooses neither of them, and that's how Ashley and Cassie became friends again and put aside their differences. It would have been even more interesting if he chose one or the other, and they had to reconcile their own kind of jealousy and overcome that. And that would have been a better ending as well. And I just felt it was a very cop-out ending. And it is Power Rangers, and this was a very weak season, but I still have the most to say about, I feel like, these 2 episodes than any other episode that we've seen thus far.
But it's so interesting because usually what happens with the Rangers is the A storyline.
Yes.
And then what's happening as far as when they're in the suits and fighting is the B storyline.
Yes.
But the B is sometimes even stronger than the A. In this case, the A was the one that was more important. They're dating, their whole thing like that. That was the one that everyone, you're watching and immediately that's what you're invested in.
Because the thing is, we know nothing about these characters. We are an entire season into Turbo. We've already had the changing of the powers. And I don't know anything really about these. The only interest that I've seen Cassie in, relationship-wise before was the Phantom Ranger, which led to absolutely nothing. It was a complete letdown.
Right.
So I like seeing this, and same thing with Ashley, who I thought was originally interested in Carlos. And that fizzled out, never came back. And I kind of thought maybe Carlos would have, the weird love triangle that he would have been like, hey, I would really like it too. She's like, oh, I'm kind of waiting on somebody else, and have it be like a Harry Potter moment with Hermione and Ron and Crumb. And that would have been
good.
Yeah, and I just feel like there were so many missed opportunities, but I do like it enough where I was like, I'm actually invested in the characters. I want to know what happens to them. I'm going to listen to their dialogue and follow along with the story, which happened. I could probably count on a single hand the amount of episodes that I was thoroughly invested in any of the characters.
I agree with you.
And this 100%. Is one of them. This is one of them.
Oh, but okay. So starting off with the episode, one thing that I noticed, and it was weird for me, did it feel kind of creepy-ish that Lieutenant Stone was kind of it felt almost flirting with Ashley at the very beginning of the episode?
Yeah, it was a little weird. I mean, that's the writing for it, but I also feel like they're trying to make him more of... If Ernie was doing it and had the same exact lines, would you think it was flirting? I feel
yes, because it's the way he was so you gotta date for the dance and blah blah. And, dude,
but he's also trying to make some money. He was just trying to get I want this girl to go to the dance because she's probably gonna bring another dude and they're gonna spend more money.
But the dance wasn't at his juice bar.
Was it not at the juice bar?
No, it was a school thing. So I'm like, what does he even care? What's going on with him? Why does he? And then he knows Bobby's purchase history. Well, he bought 2 tickets.
That is weird.
It probably had to be his if he knew that much.
Because he's the one
he bought 2
selling
tickets.
The tickets I thought.
Yeah, that's true. So then it probably was his, and I just not paid attention to it.
But see, that wasn't even going through my mind.
The shows are going on. I'm sorry, guys.
Well, this particular episode, as soon as it came up like that, I was like, I wonder how Justin is going going to fare in this whole kind of ask a girl to a dance
Okay,
because he's
that
a
was weird.
child and
That
you
was
don't want to
weird.
go to like weird jail or whatever it is. I know everybody's
Well,
underage, but it's
well.
like, hey, I'm a 17-year-old female and I do not want to be asking this 9-year-old child to a dance.
Well, and they worked the way around it where he said, "I'll take you to." They didn't even wait for an asking. He just said, "I'll take both of you," and they're like, "Great!" I know one of them had to be like, "This is where my life is now. This is it."
I feel like both of them. I would be like, you know,
I've
Justin,
fallen down that
you're
far.
great.
Yeah, where
But I do like how they ask
where
the
a
guys, and they're like, "Oh,
13-year-old
I
is
already have a
taking
date.
it.
Like, I already have this," and it's like you waited too long. You weren't proactive enough.
Nope.
You should have just asked someone out in the
Yeah,
beginning.
you two
and
over here fighting over Bobby the stranger, who Lord knows. Only thing you know is that he has a little sister. Doesn't mean he's not like the Canyon Valley Strangler or something. I don't know.
And
no
then
one knows.
Talking about cringeworthy moments, and we'll get back into it and wrap around to what the worst one for you was. But when Ashley was asking the little sister of like, "Hey, so who does he like? Does he like me?"
Dude!
I was like, "That's a little like you're crossing the boundaries. Like she is in your class, she is younger than you. You're supposed to be a mentor, and you're trying to manipulate this child into giving you information for your own personal gain." Like I felt like that needed to be addressed. That was terrible.
Awkwardly intrusive at that
Yeah.
one moment. And you're like, now you want her to pick a side and just tell on her brother if it's you, if it's this person. And she was about to get the answer, and I love how Bobby walked in and stopped that, put the kibosh on that bad boy. And now she's like, dang, I'll never know. I'll never know.
And the thing is, you ladies, if you're out there, like, you can ask a guy out. They do it all the time.
Not hard at all.
I mean, it
Not
is kind of
hard
hard.
at all.
It does create a lot of anxiety. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind
Well,
of difficult.
with these two girls being as petty as they were, I'm
But
thinking...
they're confident young females who are
Well,
Power
yeah.
Rangers. I want them to show
Confident-
that confidence.
they're
Kimberly,
confident
I didn't like
women.
Kimberly, but man,
Oh,
confidence up the yin yang with that one.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Trini too was just like, hey, especially in the comics. I mean, she
Oh,
played around for a little bit, but was like,
Trini
yeah.
ran that relationship in the comic. Like, she was like, Jason, we're going here.
In the beginning
He
was,
like,
not.
okay.
In the beginning was trying to like put
She
her
tried to
feelers
be
out.
nice,
Yeah.
and she was like, oh, I know what he is now. He's a simp. And then she took control. That's it. But I just feel like these two are very, the best way to say it is they're petty.
Yeah.
They do know that they have power. I'm saying they should have flexed it. You're right. They should have asked for the date and been like,
or
look,
if they
I'm gonna
are
lock
best
this
friends,
down.
have that conversation with each other and be like, oh hey, like I saw that you're friends with Bobby. How do you guys know each other? Like, oh, are you interested in him? Because I think he's really cute too. But I'll respect your boundaries as my best friend if you guys have a history together.
Wish.
Or if Cassie also would have been like, yeah, we've been really good friends. I think he's cute, but I don't think he really likes me. Like I would be like really hurt, but like if he does like you, go for it. I would have liked those kind of more real conversations, to be honest.
Well, I agree. Actually, that's actually something that would have made more sense. If they were like, hey, you know what? As adults, or as older people, at high school or whatever, we're still older than Justin. Justin would have figured out to communicate this.
Yes.
Maybe we should too.
Like, he made friends with a bully and, like, all this other stuff, which is super good. The one good thing about this episode, though, I do like how they brought some of their skills back into play for this. Like, we see Ashley working on the
callbacks.
car. I like that they finally paid attention. They're doing a little bit of continuity with the characters
Yes.
now. At the very end of Turbo, unfortunately. That, like, she took the car class and she was like, hey, I can use this to my advantage. I can show him that I'm more than just a pretty face and then I'm more than just a dancer. I can work on a car. And even Cassie had to kind of relent and be like, yeah, she took this shop class and she's actually really good at it,
Definitely.
And for Cassie to like be able to say that, I'm like, okay, I like you a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit. I
Yeah.
know so little
Yeah.
about you, but this makes me like you that you were able to admit that, yeah, she does have this skill, and I'm not capable of
That
doing
is true. I did enjoy that for the callbacks. There was that. There was also on the villain side, Porto actually driving or steering the Shark.
I
Shark
did
Zord,
like this
because what's
Zord.
her
This
name?
Zord was amazing.
Because on the previous episode, she said the next Zord, Porto's going to drive. She said that, and I thought it was a throwaway line. And then here it comes to this episode, Porto's actually driving it. It's like they stick with what they're doing, and it sucks that here they go trying to bring in all this level of continuity at the last 4 episodes. Oh, okay, let's make sure that we do callbacks for something that Cassie did. Let's make sure that Was it Ashley did the car? Oh yeah.
Car, and then we have Porto, like callbacks to previous
Dude,
episodes.
it's
Just the mentioning of it is really good.
Shout out to you, Blur. Thank you for the super chat. We definitely appreciate it.
Thanks so much. What did he say?
No, he actually said, "Oh my God."
What kind of gift is it?
Boom.
Oh my God, it's a little pear guy. What's up?
Thank you. We definitely appreciate it. But yeah, I just wish that, honestly, there's a lot more that I think could have been done on this episode that wasn't.
Yeah, it fell a little flat, but they are heading in the right direction.
There you go. That's what it is.
They were kind of picking up where Zio was. Like, Zio, I thought, was very well developed for our characters. Every character had, like, a distinct personality, which is why I think I kind of like them a lot more. They're very memorable. I feel like Mighty Morphin actually did a really good job of developing the characters too. Like Trini is like kind of the reserve, smart one, always like trying to train to get better. We have Jason who's the leader. We have we have Tommy who's kind of the outcast working in. Kimberly who's the gymnast and maybe like the very girly girl who likes shopping. And we had Zach who is like kind of the party, the swag guy. And I felt like we got that in Zio, but in Turbo when they like changed teams over and they had these predecessors, I'm like, man, they're so weak. I don't have a favorite. And for those of you in the chat, at this point, not including anything that happens in space, who is your favorite character and why? And this is only from Turbo.
Okay,
Only
in the Turbo,
Turbo.
series, who
was
is your
your
favorite
favorite
character? And do you mean out of Turbo 2.0 or
Turbo 2.0? So
Okay.
with TJ, Carlos, Ashley, Cassie, and well, I guess we'll include Justin in this as well.
I guess, whatever.
So out of those 5 characters, do you have a favorite up to this point? Not including anything that happens from here, because I know in space a lot of development does happen.
Yeah, of course, indeed. Space is going to be amazing. Can't wait for it. The next 2 episodes are actually supposed to be pretty good, so I can't wait for those.
Up to this, not including the last 2, because we are on an upward swing. But we've already had like maybe 18 to like 25 episodes already with this new cast, I feel like. And it's just been super weak. I don't have a favorite, and I usually do.
You know what? I went in thinking, of course, that what's his name was going to be my favorite, TJ.
Yeah.
As you guys have heard, if you guys watched,
but he is a black man, and he is the Red Ranger. He is the leader.
That was the only reason.
And
I was just like, yo, I'm representing.
Representing any leadership qualities. Not like Jason, not like Tommy. I feel like even Billy had more leadership qualities in his time as a Blue Ranger than TJ does as a Red Ranger.
That's
at
right.
This point.
And unfortunately, that's the thing. I'm just not going crazy about it. Blackwing says still TJ for him. And Sean Sayer says Carlos. Jared Hodges says TJ. John Boy 777 says TJ. The Blur even says TJ.
I wonder why, 'cause
Bobby
I feel
Jenkins says Six Ranger
Time. We had his baseball
time.
episode, and I feel like that's the only
That was
episode
it.
that we really got to see TJ shining so far.
And I think you guys may be still
biased a little bit by space.
Exactly, that may be the case, but we're trying to say just up to here, if you can wipe your memory of what's going to happen, and just up to right now. He
is that swing hitter though, where he could or switch hitter, where he can go left and right-handed in baseball, and I feel like that's as much as I know about TJ. In the beginning, though, when he was really proactive, getting off the bus, wanting to help people, that was super powerful. And I just feel like it's been kind of a downward slide for all of our characters since then.
It has. And I feel that it's because, well, there was rumor that they were thinking this may have been the last season. Okay. And when that was happening, I think they were just like, we don't know what we're going to do. Then when they heard they were renewed and they were going to have another season, they held back on a lot of story that they wanted to tell. And they said, we're going to hold it on to space because apparently space now may be our last season, and we're going to do everything we've ever wanted to do. So that's why they get very kind of like inventive, figuring things out. And then it feels like on Turbo, they were dragging their feet the entire time. Okay. And that's the whole
it's
problem.
a harder like Sentai series to work with.
Oh wow, Sean Sayer says actually Justin. Sean, I think you're lying to us, but I mean, hey, I definitely understand.
But Justin really does have the most development up to this point because he's been there for the longest.
Justin is possibly one of the most thought out characters on the show. Every time something happens, Justin is the one that makes these adjustments for whatever is going on. When we had a problem and I thought there was some villain calling in and they were on the screen and all this stuff and they were talking while everybody else sat there at the viewing globes or whatever watching him like give his demands. Justin leans over to Alpha and says blah blah blah, let's try to figure out where the call's coming from. And that's what they went and did. And every time something's happened, Justin's been the guy to logically try to, he's been the villain.
Justin is the smart one. I mean, he is an elementary school student who is able to work at a high school capacity to take on that workload, to take on the responsibility of being a ranger. and obviously maintaining fairly good grades. His dad is also back. We have no mention of that, but it could be that kind of confidence of his only family member coming back to support him, which gives him that kind of confidence and encouragement. Yeah, the writing for him isn't great, and I know I bash on Justin a lot, but he is probably the most intelligent as far as just well-rounded intelligence in that group, actually.
Could be. Weird enough right here, everybody's like saying TJ, first black leader of the Power Rangers. Also, they feel that he took charge as a ranger as well. And I'm like, what?
I feel like he doesn't offer any, because especially the dichotomy between Jason and Tommy is so apparent. Jason is like, I'm the leader. I will take on the most dangerous missions by myself. I would never want to endanger you guys. Tommy was always like, we are a group. I want to hear everyone's advice. I want to go into it together. He does want to kind of be in the forefront of like, hey, I don't think that's safe for you, but he takes in everyone's kind of critique and opinions. I don't really have that from TJ, but I might be missing stuff because honestly, I've been bashing on this series.
I'm just saying there's a reason actually to bash. And I'm seeing someone right here, and I'm going to say it.
All right.
I'm going to become Joe for a moment. It says hashtag Justin saved the franchise. Actually, that is not true. This season, Turbo actually had some of the lowest ratings they ever expected to have. Funny enough, and they were losing to another Saban property. Want to know what that Saban property was?
Do tell.
No, well, actually, it was Big Bad Beetleborgs. Now, funny thing about Big Bad Beetleborgs, they had children just like Justin, who would morph and turn into adults. Now, this was their whole idea was to go ahead and placate the younger fans, and that's how they did it with the entire show.
Then why didn't they just focus a younger audience on Beetleborgs and grow up Power Rangers to an older audience?
Because of that, the whole Justin situation made fans of Power Rangers literally tune away and stop watching Power Rangers for that whole time during Turbo, to turn back every once in a while just so they knew what was going on, but they did not care about the series. In fact, some of the adults were like, you know what, I hate the Justin trope, but it's just because it wasn't done properly. I like it more in Big Bad Beetleborgs than I like it here in Power Rangers. You don't believe me? Go ahead and look it up. You'll see the numbers. It's all true. And that's the thing that really drives me insane about the whole Justin saves Power Rangers. He didn't. It was really going to be the last season.
But if it's for you, then it's perfectly fine. You can love Justin.
True.
Like,
true.
You can love it.
True.
He's been less annoying in the more recent episodes because it hasn't been a Justin-centric like series of episodes, because for a while it was like Justin, and this is the first time we get to see Cassie and Ashley kind of interact with each other, see that they're friends. I like these kind of smaller mashups and focus on these individual Rangers a lot more. Feel like they have more of ability to grow. But yeah, like with the callbacks and everything in this episode, I liked it a lot more. For those of you guys in the chat, what would you rate this particular episode? And for you, what would you rate this episode? And did you have any other comments on it?
Actually, no other comments on it. I think I've said everything I can say concerning the episode. We really did cover it. Some things even you did, so that was perfect for me. This episode is kind of touch and go. There are moments that I really did hate, but there are shining moments in this episode as well. And with that, kind of going up and down, back and forth, it went from, I always start with a 5 and I take it down according to the sins. I feel that there were 2 sins, indeed, in this episode. I've already discussed them. I'm not here to bash it. So that brings it down to a 3 for me. So this episode gets a 3.
Okay, so this, I'm rating it a little bit higher. I'm going to give it a 4, just because I like that we're focusing on the characters more instead of just the battles. I did really like the Shark Zord.
Oh, yes.
I thought that looked super cool. The character design for that I thought was phenomenal. I don't feel like Diva Talks really factored into this episode as much. It was just kind of thrown in there because that's the way the episodes run, which I'm fine with. But finally, I feel like I get a little bit more from Ashley, a little bit more from Cassie. I don't know if I necessarily like them as much as this episode could have portrayed them. But in the context of the rest of this second half of Turbo, this is one of the higher rated episodes for me. So 4 and a 3, and let's see what you guys in the chat gave this episode.
Exactly. So looking into it right now, I have John Boy 777 who gives it a 3, which is a good choice. Jared Hodges gives it a 3. I also have The Blur who gives it a 3.8. I have Thomas Franco who gives it a 2.5. Ryan Cross Z Dragon 2.2. Edward Sanchez Productions with a 4. Layla Nolan Waiting for In Space out of 5, which means
All
that's a
right, so
0.
not next week. The week after,
Exactly.
feel free to chime in. Can't wait to hear from you.
Blackwing 2040 gives it a 2.5 out of 5. And MJ Spud gives us a super chat and says, "Hey cutie, hey mate." So
Hey.
I guess he feels that you're his mate.
Yeah.
That's cool. Thank you.
Thanks so much for
appreciate
tuning in, J Spud. Glad that you're able to tune into these again. We missed you for a little while.
I appreciate that he called me a cutie. I mean, that's my whole
but you are
thing.
a cutie.
I mean, I am. And
But
I
it's
feel
nice to
that I'm
hear it
glad
sometimes,
that,
right?
It
It's
is.
nice to
And
hear
I'm
it
like, hey,
sometimes.
thank you. I appreciate it. It's kind of
But
weird
yeah,
just calling
you
me
are
a
so
mate.
English with the mate. I try
Yeah,
to like work
you
that
know?
into my conversation where everyone's a mate.
Oh,
You know,
come on,
my
mate.
mates.
Seriously,
See
whatever.
my mates.
I see Joe do it all the time. I'm just for lie. Yeah, I'm British too. I'm gonna be. I want to try to do a good Idris Elba. That's what I'm trying to do. Like scraggly, deep. I'm gonna get it. I'm
not good at accents, as you guys
I
know.
don't know. I'm gonna try. I don't fucking know. I don't know. It's horrible. Someone did ask if Justin was to come back for Forever Blue.
I would be fine with that.
Would you be fine with it?
I would absolutely
the
be fine
adult
with it,
Justin,
especially if we
I
get-
want
Yeah.
that so bad. You have
Oh,
no
man.
idea how
All
much I
his
want
tats
that.
and stuff now.
Yes, that's
I'd be like,
even
I'd want to be a
doper.
badass.
Oh, that'd be so dope. Like all the Rangers coming back, and he comes back like just because he can work out really quick and get super yoked again. He already is like pretty set. So it's like he'll come back and it'll just be in like a tank top. Sorry,
For
I don't
me,
want to
though,
call it a
like
wife
Yoshi,
beater.
seeing Yoshi
And I
in
want the
Forever Blue would be
tats,
good.
and I just want like everybody else shows up, and they're like so Yoshi's there, everybody else showing up, right? All the Blue Rangers, and then the last one, and they're like, well, who called us here anyway? And then he comes out with the tats, blah blah, not on a motorcycle, because I think someone's already done that, but he just comes walking in, and he's just like, it was me, guys, and you're like, oh, that would be so huge.
But
for
man,
me.
I want Billy and his flying VW bug to come back
Oh!
from Avatar and just be like coming in and be like,
Oh, that's true.
the original is coming
Oh,
back.
then that's true. It wouldn't be Justin.
Yeah.
It would be him.
Yeah.
That's what I would
and
like.
then Billy would
Okay.
just steal Justin's
All right,
thunder.
all
For
right,
sure. For
all
sure.
right.
And Rocky would be like, I was here too in between.
Well, but would Billy still wear the crew neck and look like he's selling us an
Yeah,
iPhone?
yeah. But he also has to be really old Billy too, because remember
Oh,
he like
what?
aged up.
No, but I thought they fixed it, didn't they?
I know, but with the times and everything, like he's that age now, so it has to be that older Billy. But
Okay.
yeah, so it seems like we're kind of like pretty good on this episode. It is definitely not the worst. It is definitely not the best. I feel like we can agree on that for this episode.
Oh, another one.
Whoa!
I please
it comes
do not
up on the
promote
TV.
Joe's Terrible. What? Joe's Terrible. I couldn't see the last word. Oh, Joe's
no.
Terrible English accent. Thank you. Thank you. At least someone said it. I appreciate that. He's not going to watch this right now. So that's
fine.
right.
He's
We
watching.
can't-
He's watching the foosball.
Yeah, see, he doesn't even care about you guys. I don't know. He's an asshole. I mean, it's my opinion. I think he's a horrible person. No, I'm playing, guys. Oh my God, he's a great person. Forget about it. No, actually, his accent is. Well, I mean, you would know. If you're saying it's horrible, so that's fine.
I don't know.
I think mine
Okay,
is better.
what is your British accent? Your English accent?
I don't really have one because I think everyone who tries to do one that isn't is really bad. But mine
Crumpets,
is.
mate. Does that work?
All right, if I have to talk, I'm gonna have a conversation with you. I'm gonna have it in a
Hey, that's
proper
really
way.
good.
And I think honestly, if we have to talk about Power Rangers for a little bit, I'm gonna really go into it, and I'm gonna have a conversation concerning it. Is that right?
Okay,
That's
MJ
about it?
Spud, rate that on a scale from 1 to 10. How is
Yeah,
his English
let me know.
accent?
Let me
Also
know.
rate my accent about
yeah.
crumpets on
That's
1
right.
to 10.
That's right.
Was that Don Cheadle from The Italian Job?
Could have been. I don't fucking know. Not an Italian Job from Oceans.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But yeah,
Oceans.
moving on to our second episode, Parts and Parcel.
Completely different films.
I actually really enjoyed this episode. This is one of my favorite episodes.
Okay, this episode, I wrote something in my notes, and I'm against what I wrote in my notes.
Wait, I
because
want to hear what you
it's-
wrote in your notes first,
Okay,
and then we'll
alright,
go through
alright.
it and see if your mind has in fact changed.
It has changed.
Okay.
Why
Detail.
I wrote, why is this episode so revered as a good Bulk and Skull episode? There are so many better Bulk and Skull
Oh, this is
episodes.
like-
This one just shows that the writers have no idea what they're doing. I disagree with my effing notes. I
Okay,
wrote these notes last week.
I don't think it's a best.
These notes are wrong.
I don't think it's a best Spoken Skull, because the best Spoken Skull episode, I think, is when we find out that Skull can play the piano.
Yes.
That one for
Yes.
sure will
I-
always
okay,
be in my heart as the number
all right,
one Spoken
all right,
Skull episode.
Okay. Because I was like, you know what? If I have that as an argument, I need to have an example of why I think, and that's what I
Yeah.
wrote. So that's true. That's true. But I do disagree with this because this episode did have a moment where a good large moment where we focused on Bulk and Skull. So much so that TJ took down from himself to say, these guys are good guys.
And help them out.
Why do they think
and
that
it had
they're
nothing
bad?
to do with Rangers. It had
Nope.
nothing to do with them
Nope.
saving or helping out or any of this, which they have done in the past.
Yes.
Like Mighty Morphin and Alien Rangers as well.
Yes.
But yeah, I thought it was super cool. And this is the episode that made me like TJ. Before all this, I was ambivalent. Like, he could have just disappeared and I wouldn't have cared. They could have put a puppet in for him and I'd been like, all right, cool. Something different.
Some Muppets.
Yeah, just like a Muppet and be like, yeah.
That's how they dance.
Yeah, it is. It is how they dance.
Yay! Yay! That's how Kermit does.
It is true. But yeah, this is the first time that I really feel like TJ got developed. I now understand from this episode why TJ is one of the fan favorites of this particular cast. Just because he was like, hey, Bulk and Skull, they're kind of dumb, but they would never steal. He doesn't even really talk to them. He's not friends with them, not like the
That's
original
true.
Rangers were.
Haven't had really conversations with them from what we've seen.
Like, they don't really interact with Bulk and Skull.
But he knows that much.
Yeah, and he was like, these guys are pretty good. Hey, we have another super chat. Thank you so much, The Blur.
Not bad. What do you say? One of my favorites is when Bulk and Skull asked out that cop.
Oh, yeah, the one that got them fired.
Was a good
and that got
one.
Jerome getting
Yeah,
fired.
right?
The lieutenants, not lieutenants, the, I don't know, commissioner's, like, niece or
The niece or something
daughter.
like that, whatever. The
I
captain's
did
daughter.
like that one.
I did enjoy it. I
I like
enjoy
that
it.
one more for Lieutenant Stone, though, like, sticking up for them and being like,
Oh,
hey,
than you do for... Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And I agree with it. I definitely do. One thing that was interesting, I could not stop joking about it, was Cassie's level of shady pettiness. I mean, there was a moment where she was like, he was like, oh yeah, I really appreciate Bulk and Skull. Yeah, every time I see them, they have a job. And she goes, yeah, not the same one.
That is really petty, but she's not lying.
I'm just saying the truth.
She's
That's
not
all
lying.
I'm saying.
She ain't lying.
I'm saying,
Let's be real.
Hashtag
real.
where is the lie? I don't see it. I don't see it. That's literally how she was. She was just like, yeah, that's true. It's just never the same one twice.
It's true, but they're working hard.
I was
Hey,
like, dang.
they graduated high school. They're not going to college. They're having a rough time. I think they're doing a pretty good job. But yeah, I don't know. I still thought this was a pretty good.
I'm sorry, we have ghost children here in the set,
We do.
in the studio, so every once in a while they run around. We've got to tell them to stop. Like, stop it, ghost child! No.
Be
And
gone.
They go, no, I'm not playing with you today. Leave me alone. I'm a grown man. No. Oh my God. Why don't you guys show up later for the Twitch stream? That's where I need you guys.
Yeah, Rick and Morty. That's where we can enjoy
That's
these
where
kinds of things.
the weird ghosts need to be. Ghost
But
children,
look us up at _Illuminati on Twitch. We'll be doing a stream at 9 o'clock from there.
I cannot wait for it. I'm sorry. I'm more excited for that than I am for the
it's
show.
more of an
It's
adult show.
horrible.
It is an adult show. There will be like consuming of some
Adult products.
Adult products.
Mind-altering.
Mind-altering, adult
legal products
yeah.
here in California. But yeah, so going back to Parts and Parcel, I do like that they were that TJ did step up. You're right, Cassie did throw some shade, but
That was
let's
funny.
be real,
It was funny.
our girl is not lying.
Look, there were no lies in
Yeah.
this episode. No lies were created.
She did throw that shade,
during-
though. She did throw that shade.
She did. One thing I did love about this episode also was a great out-of-suit fight sequence. And it
Yes.
really showed Carlos stepping up. Dude.
With the
he
whole
was
car and everything,
flip
like,
and
yeah.
the jump and the kick and the punch. They did so much stuff in this
It is
episode.
one of the more involved episodes because, especially with Zeo and Mighty Morphin, you can tell that they were actually martial artists.
Yes,
I feel like
yes.
with the introduction of Kat, it was kind of like, wait, do you actually know how to fight, or you're just a teenager with attitude, but you don't necessarily have the skills? Because Kimberly too wasn't necessarily a fighter, but she was a gymnast, so she looked
That's right.
amazing.
That's right.
When she was doing all of her stunts. So
True.
this was one of the first times I was like, oh yeah, since the first episode where we saw like TJ kind of fighting off, getting off the bus and doing all that other stuff. Yeah, it was a fun episode. And
It was good.
I like that.
One sin for this episode,
Okay.
I'm sorry to say it, was
All right.
the Shark Zord coming back to life.
yeah.
So my question I've got to ask: how long was it between the last episode and this episode? Even if it was a day, they just let that Zord sit out in the street, in the middle of the street, for a day. But it felt like actually this has gone on for a while, so it's probably a week. And they just sit out in the middle of the street, and then finally, here comes the police cop, Jesuit's favorite guy,
Centurion.
dragging
Yeah.
the body out. Let me clean up this trash. This is horrible. I must clean this up. And he's dragging the Zord that's been left in the middle of the street
Yep.
for a week.
Creating making all those like divots in the road. And, like,
how many people, one, could not go to work, have to deal with the potholes that are made? Like, I would not want to live in this city, and I'd be very completely upset. How many? Oh yeah, that's right.
Well,
he loves to
I
do.
get a parking ticket.
I get a parking
like
ticket.
20
That's
minutes
true.
too long.
That's true.
Well, it definitely got parking tickets, and then
Because,
the
well,
police
Ninja
attorney
loves
came back, and it
Blue
was like,
Centurion
okay,
loves, he
you
loves to
get
write parking
72
tickets.
hours, and
Yep.
then you have to get towed. So that's why he came back to tow
Oh!
the machine out of the road, because usually
That's
you have
what
that
it is.
So
Oh
it's
my
been at least 72
God.
hours. He gave him maybe like three parking tickets. It's like, we got to tow this guy out of here. They were just taking up too much.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it was. So he went ahead and told.
Oh!
Oh boy, they were talking about your accent earlier.
We were
showing up and hey, British Joe, where'd you go? I thought he was gonna come and give you guys the accent, so you guys would be like, yeah, I love it. I wanted to know what he said. If he said whose accent was better.
I hope it's mine.
Let me see.
Crumpets and biscuits and
biscuits.
tea.
Please don't
Tea
promise.
time. I have my tea time cup.
MJ Spud. Wait. Daniel, pretty good. And L, I personally love crumpets, and I love the stereotype, but it's still a 3, he said, for
Damn
the
it.
episode.
I
No, for
tried
the
so-
episode.
oh, for the episode,
was a
okay.
3. But yeah, he says, he loved it. So bravo. Bravo. And he said stereotype right on point. So that's a good thing. That's a good job for you. He definitely appreciates
Did we
it.
get through this super chat too?
Yeah, we did.
We good? All right.
Oh, no. Yeah, one of my favorites is when
yeah,
Buck
Buck's
asks
out,
out
okay.
the cop. That's true. Oh, my gosh. I had something else as far as a note on this episode.
For you, it was kind of a detriment. For me, one of the things I really loved, I love Skull dressing up in drag as an older woman and
Actually,
trying to be
no,
I thought
it's
that
not a
was-
detriment. I love that. I
like
loved
that,
it.
For me, like you talked about minus points, that I feel like should give it a plus point for this episode. I thought it was super funny. I like how he's just like, I just wanted him to turn around and be like, pretty.
Oh, God, no. But he did when they were putting on
Yeah.
the makeup. He was like, what are you doing? No, give me that. Ooh. And then he did that, and
Yeah,
then
and I
they moved the
was like,
camera off.
oh,
I was like,
cute.
okay, I love
Their
Skull.
slapstick comedy, I absolutely love. We haven't
Yes.
had a episode centric on them for a while, and
Yes.
I absolutely miss them. Their story and their development is something I always look forward to, and it's taken so long. in the
Their
second half of the
entire
run.
arc is huge. Like you said, just seeing them go from these horrible delinquents to
bullies,
police
to,
officers.
like,
well,
helpful
yes,
and, like,
to
helping the
cops
Rangers.
and helping everyone and
To
trying
being
to make
chimps
sure.
and then invisible and then back to humans. Like
Invisible only for one episode, and that was still good.
no, they were
That was
invisible
great.
for a while. They were invisible for a while.
No, they were chimps for a while, and then they turned invisible for. I thought it was only one episode.
Was it only one episode? Oh, maybe it was only one episode.
Maybe it was for a while.
You know, honestly, the season has been
It's
so
all
long.
it's all a blur. Shout out to you, Blur.
Thank you
But no, it is. It's like I kind of lose it. I forget what's happening in it. But one thing I did have to say was, that's right. Diva Talk seems to be getting a whole lot better in not letting go of building the Zords. Like, her whole thing of, I'm going to beat the Rangers at their own game. I'm going to make sure I get them where it hurts.
Well, because
it's
making
been
the
developing.
detonators did nothing. Like, I'm going to blow up this radio
Funny
station
enough,
with one person inside. What?
I will say the next 2 episodes, detonators actually pay through.
Really? The payoff for detonators is coming off. They
Very
shouldn't even be
well.
called detonators. To be honest, they're called bombs. But
Ladies and gentlemen, here goes the super shot.
we have
And-
another one from the Blur. We need to work on our placement of these super
Yeah,
chats
I
because they
can't-
were definitely cut off on
Work in
screen.
process.
Elle can't wait for you to meet the professor. So apparently the professor is going to be someone that's going to be big on Rangers, and I can't wait for it.
Interesting. I
am
can't wait for
looking forward
Space.
to it.
I hear just such good things about it. And actually, if you guys want to purchase one of the shirts off of our T Public store, there is an In Space one that is Power Rangers parody of, or like a mashup of In Space and Star Wars, which is
that's
super,
right.
super good.
That's right.
I absolutely love that. That's one of my favorites, even though I have not watched that season yet.
It's still a good shirt. If it's a good shirt, it's a good shirt. And you want to see what's going on with it. So that's a great thing. It helps promote that episode, or at least that season.
Yeah, and you can click the link down
Sean,
below.
where's
in the
Joe?
description
I don't
for
know
that.
where Joe is. He was here, and then he just
He's
left.
watching foosball.
Yeah, he's watching football because it's his team playing.
Go
man.
Cowboys!
Yeah, well, no, let's not.
No, what?
I mean,
That's the team I root for.
Well, okay, then never mind.
Go Sports.
Okay, go Cowboys. Go
Yeah.
Cowboys. That's what you root
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
I will support and agree.
I got the
I'm
star
a Green Bay
kind of
Packers
on.
guy, so I know Larry. You said good luck to Joe. But good luck to the Packers, baby. That's what I'm hoping for. I hope we win so I can gloat and say, yeah, Joe, we won, and then urinate on his couch. Because that's what winners do.
We don't do that. I don't do that. Is that what you're
That's
supposed
what
to do? Is
it's
that,
like,
is that how you play sports?
yes.
Well, I learned something new that when they win, I think they won
urinate
earlier.
you urinate on something that they like. You urinate on something that they like.
Okay.
And
Don't do
I
that.
think he likes the couch.
Don't do
Oh,
that.
that's true. Okay. I'll urinate on his wrestling belt.
Oh, no, I like wearing that sometimes.
All right, he has some comic books, I think, in the house.
That's fine. You can get those. You can get those. Yeah.
All right, cool. So, but this episode, guys.
Tell us what you rate this
yes.
particular episode. I thought it was actually super fun. I miss Bulk and Skull. This just reminded me how much I miss their character development and their story arc. I don't think it is the best Bulk and Skull episode.
No,
it's not even close. It might be close. It might be in the top 3, maybe.
Yeah, see, and that's
definitely
the thing.
in the top 3 because they get the recognition from the Power Rangers. They did get to help out.
Yep.
They were doing a really good job, and they were actually being blamed for something they didn't do, and kind of was just like, I don't know how to explain this to you. You're not going to believe us anyway, and we're kind of like down and out in this episode. And the Rangers come up and really, really support them and have their backs, and I loved it.
I love that how they showed up, and they're like lightning or whatever, and they showed up and they were like, these men should be rewarded. They did a great job, etc., etc. Taking care of those that have taken care of you is a great quality.
And they do help the Rangers out on multiple occasions.
so many times.
Which is why, I give this episode a 5.
Ooh.
I feel like it's really high. If this episode was probably in Zeo, it probably wouldn't have ranked as high. But because we are coming to the end of Turbo, and you guys know how I feel about Turbo,
yes,
I thought it was really good. I thought it was I was like, oh, at the end, minus the shade that Cassie. Well, I don't know. I thought it was really funny. It was just like, it's not the same job, and I'm like, yeah, I know, but they're doing the best they can, man, and that's what we can ask of people sometimes.
I mean, hey, they were fired from being cops, somehow were awarded the job back again, and then after that got fired because someone got mad that they were hitting on their daughter. That has nothing to do with work. They shouldn't have been fired from being police officers. It should have been, hey, I just don't want you talking to my daughter, and that would have been it. You can't fire someone for what they're doing off duty. Come on, forget you guys.
They were in the police station and on duty, wearing their suits.
Okay.
Yeah, their uniforms.
But that was okay.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what their workplace protocol is. But yeah,
Ooh,
so
never mind.
what would
should
you
have
rate
been
this
fired.
particular episode?
Well, I'm looking at what everybody else is doing it, and there's some kind of close to you.
All right.
And with that, I actually feel that I am going to follow that trend. I rescind my first thing that I said about why this
Excellent. I'm glad we were able to convince you otherwise.
Going from a 5, I'm going to give this actually a 4. Like I said,
nice.
That Shark Zord sitting there, but then that's 72 hours.
I mean, it's kind of funny, though, because
that kind of does make me think about it now.
He did give him some tickets,
you know
and he had to tow that baby out. I mean, Blue Centurion is he's good. There's this logical backstory behind that.
5!
Yes, I won you over.
Oh.
So for those of you in the chat, what do we have?
All right, so right now in the chat, we're looking at JohnBoy777, who gives it a 5. Then after that, Sagittarius Season, hey, what's up? Shout out to you. Mikey Perez gives it a 4. Edward Sanchez gives it a 4. The Blur gives it a 4. Ghost Child gives it a 4.
Nice.
By the way, Elle, you're gonna be sad towards the finale of Space. 4 out of 5 from Thomas Franco.
No.
Jared Hodges, I actually agree. I can't wait for it. 4 because of them. Well, this may be it. Jared Hodges gives it a 4 because of them. Staking out the warehouse. That was actually pretty good. I did like that.
Yeah.
He was wearing all black except for the red t-shirt. Bulk and Skull, best moment is at the end of In Space, which I've heard, out of 5. So that's what Layla gives it.
Nice.
Blackwing gives it a 4 out of 5. And people are saying...
Very high.
People are saying next week is going to be great. Next week, Chase into Space, and the final week before Crisis on Infinite Earths for the DC stuff. If you guys want to know more about DC stuff, kind of pay attention and stay in tune with Tatiana. Anything that she's on, she'll drop a little bit of knowledge concerning it. And we will try to pepper a lot of our programming with bits of Tatiana, so you guys will be able to keep up with what's happening on Crisis on Infinite Earths. So shout out to you guys that are DC fans. You'll love it that way. But it seems like everyone's kind of a consensus, 4 or 5. So this episode
Was really good.
Was good, and hey, it's been redeemed. So congratulations, you've been redeemed here on Retro Ranger Wrap Up. You guys should be proud of yourselves.
And thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that you have an amazing Thanksgiving. We'll be seeing you next Sunday at the same time at 5 o'clock, and we'll be doing our last 2 episodes of Turbo. Super excited. Join us here at that hashtag show, and until then, you have to
like, comment, share, and subscribe to keep up to date with everything trending
in geek pop culture. Bye, guys.